So I'm going to be... We're going to be going through You Can Heal Your Life, Chapter 1. So if you have not read this book before and have been wanting to, or you've never heard of it, this is your time to actually do the work with me. However, I just lost some, like, my pages are coming out. This is probably one of my favorite of all time healing books. And if you've never heard of it, it is phenomenal. So I'm going to be reading it to you guys. And then with that, I'm going to, I believe there are exercises within even chapter 1. So if you have a notebook or pen, paper, doing it on your computer, doing it on your notes app, we are going to go through the first chapter, which I'm just going to take the pages out because chapter 1 and 2 fall out often. So I will just maybe pop this up, take some of my drink. I guess you can't really see it, but whatever. We're going over You Can Heal Your Life, chapter 1 and 2. Okay. Let's see. Chapter 1. What I believe. The gateways to wisdom and knowledge are always open. Also, real quick side note, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, as well as if you have any specific things that you would like to have addressed, let me know. You can throw them in the chat as well. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate you. Is it Bridget? Hopefully I said that correctly. Everybody always spells their name differently, or it's hard to see with these little tiny names that pop up. Okay, so You Can Heal Your Life is the book that we're going over. As I mentioned, grab pen and paper if you'd like, because there are some good things that you can write down. I got this book in 2012, reason why my pages are falling out. I highlight all of them and even made little notes, so I highly recommend getting this book. I'm going to be trying to go through this book again and using it as a live so that you guys can benefit from it too. All right, so chapter 1 is what I believe. Life is really very simple. What we give out, we get back. So this is very similar to the phrase I always say in my videos: what you believe is what you receive. And I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, and people might be like, oh, that sounds like The Secret. And yes, in a way, like when I heard about The Secret, I was like, that can't happen. Like, you can't just sit and think something and it's going to change your life. Which, no and yes. There are opportunities for this stuff to work as long as we're not only doing the energy mental work, but we're also doing aligned action. So here's a sentence that I highlighted. What we think about ourselves becomes the truth for us. So again, on the same line, what we believe about ourselves is how we perceive ourselves out into the world. Thank you so much for the likes, Claudia. And I kind of did a note here. And again, reminder, this was probably back in 2012. What you perceive is what you receive. What we fixate on fixes us. Dude, I'm so smart. Good job, 2012, Jenna. What we fixate on fixes us. So if there's something that's bothering you right now, if you fixate on it in a healthy way with healthy tools, which if you need tools, believe me, I have 600 videos here on TikTok that you can go and kind of dive into and get a bunch of tools, journal prompts, things like that. But where our mind goes, or where our mind flows, our energy goes. I think that's what it is. Essentially, whatever we focus on is what we're going to receive. So if you're focusing on how shitty your fucking life is and how you have no money, you are going to continue getting those same situations. So for example, I have a 7-day challenge that is currently ready for sign up for early bird pricing. It's $67 for the 7 days. That may sound like a lot of money, but if we put it into perspective, that is 7 days of me going live, me creating 3 hypnotherapy scripts that I'm recording and sharing with people. that I am going to be giving my full attention for those 7 days for those people to help repair the mother wound. That is $67, which is the price of one therapy session over 7 days. Like, that's it. Like, that's a freaking steal. However, I have so many people that come into my comments going, oh man, look, I have to pay for it. And oh, I don't have money. These are all limiting beliefs and them blocking their healing, which that is fine. That is on them. And I totally respect where they're at because I used to be there. I remember seeing all these big gurus like Gabrielle Bernstein, Wayne Dyer, whomever, and they were all doing, Louise Hay, they were all doing these webinars or retreats. And I was like, damn, I don't have any money. Like, why are they such sellouts? But now I realize, like, they put all of their time and effort in researching and learning all the stuff the same way that I do. And then they're able to provide it for others. So what is something, this is going to be a journal prompt. What is something that you are currently dealing with that you do not like, that you want to change? Either share it in the chat or write it down in, if you have your notebook, pen and paper, or putting it on your notes app in your phone. You can even DM me on Instagram. Send it my way so that I know and I can help guide you in figuring out what that situation is and how you can switch it. Betrayal, trauma, and infertility. Oh my gosh, yes. Infertility is such a tough one too right now. And this is something that I dealt with, one with 2 miscarriages and then having my son, but I was told I couldn't have kids. And then I gave that, I gave it up to the universe and was like, fuck it, not going to deal with it. I have other things to focus on. And then all of a sudden I found out that I was pregnant. So it's so interesting because like the number one thing I was doing at that time after I was told that, I switched over to Flow Living, FLO Living. It was a book that I read called Woman Code. I highly recommend it, and started working on my hormones and getting my body back into, my blood sugar levels, glucose, I wasn't able to absorb it properly. Technically, that would fall under PCOS, but it's all hormones. Hormone related, yes. But I think this is very, 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 very closely tied into insulin resistance. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say. But this is tied into our beliefs. I've had so many friends that were told that they weren't able to have children. Same with myself. And then that we believe that. The underlining root thought I had around my fertility is my ex telling me that I was a horrible mother. He had 4 kids I was helping him take care of. They lived with him full time. And he constantly would tell me that I was a terrible mother. And guess who? Me. I held that belief because I just did a video on this. I haven't posted it yet. But no one can make you feel or believe a certain thing unless there's a part of you that already believes it. And I believed that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a terrible mom. So guess what? I couldn't conceive. And luckily I didn't because he was a terrible person. Nonetheless, that's water under the bridge. But those are things that we can start working on through our mindset as well as aligned actions. So what are some healthy hormone foods that we can eat? What are things that we can remove that might be toxic, that are causing our hormones to go out of place? See how that works? There's a balance. Okay, so what we think about ourselves becomes the truth for us. I believe that everyone, myself included, is responsible for everything in our lives, the best and the worst. Every thought we think is creating our future. Each one of us creates our experiences by our thoughts and our feelings. The thoughts we think and the words we speak create our experiences. This just gives me chills because, again, I haven't read this since 2012. And this is literally everything that I just shared with you guys right now. So I'm so glad that I still retained all of this information, however many years that this has been. Okay, we create the situations and then we give our power away by blaming the other person for our frustration. So as I just mentioned, no one can cause you to feel a specific way. But if you believe it, one part of you believes it, that power will be taken from that person, right? No person, no place, and no thing has any power over us, for we are the only thinkers in our mind. I should have just wrote this book. Just kidding. When we create peace and harmony and balance in our minds, we will find it in our lives. Which of these statements sounds like you? So I want you guys to share this in the chat if you feel like it. Which of these statements sounds like you? People are if I can talk. People are out to get me, or everyone is always helpful. And while I'm waiting for you guys to respond, again, that's people are out to get me, or everyone is always helpful. I remember back in 2012, and even just a little bit right now reading that, everyone is always helpful. I feel a small block. I feel a block of that I'm alone, that I have to do it on my own. And I don't know if that's something that maybe resonates with you guys, that it is such a deep wound to feel like we have to take care of everyone else and also ourselves, and that nobody can help us. And this is where I've been researching that the father wound comes into play, is the need or the belief that we have to constantly be doing things and can't receive help. Like, it's very difficult to receive help, and there's that hustle culture, like masculine energy. Do. I need to get all the stuff done. Ooh, one of the things that this brings up a TikTok trend. There's a sound that goes around and it says, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And then the counter comment is, well, then who's going to do it? And this is where that father wound is. This is us going, if nobody else is going to do it, I have to take care of it. So this disconnects us from our feminine energy, which is our feminine energy is receiving. We want to receive. We want to be nurtured. We don't always need to be nurturing others. And that's where that misconception comes in. Okay. So each one of these beliefs will create quite different experiences. What we believe about ourselves and about life becomes true for us. Hold on, sorry, still the pages are ripped out of the book. There we go. Okay, oh my God, this one's like hanging in by a thread. Okay, the universe totally supports us in every thought we choose to think and believe. Put another way, our subconscious mind accepts whatever we choose to believe. They both mean that what I believe about myself and about life becomes true for me. So again, whatever you believe is what is going to be true for you in your life. So if you believe that you are poor or broke and you say, I'm broke all the time, that is literally you ordering from the takeout service of the universe saying, I would like to be broke. And again, it's not to just not only change the internal voice inside of us to change the tune to I am abundant, I receive money unexpectedly, because a lot of that times there's a resistance. Our subconscious is like, that's not real, because we believed so much, and from generational trauma seeing how our parents were raised, our grandparents were raised, maybe hearing money doesn't grow on trees. What do I look like? Made out of money? I heard all of this. Don't get your hopes up. I would hear when I would ask for something specific for Christmas, right? So these are all things that solidified in my mind that we didn't have money and I would be poor. And then we didn't have money for a very long time. And then my dad did end up making a good amount of money, but then we lost it and had to move to another state. So like those are all things that were embedded in me from seeing, and those are all from different times, right? Different ages. I was 18 when that last one happened. And then the fear of money, like I was always down and out with my own. Mister, thank you so much for the follow and thank you for the likes. Okay. So where was I? When we know this, then it makes sense to choose everyone is always helpful rather than people are out to get me. Thank you so much. I love your hair. I appreciate you. So what I was referring to in the sense of money, not only do you need to help your mind change its beliefs, but you also have to do aligned actions. So you can't sit there. Now, this is speaking from me and my story. When I read The Secret, I was like, I'm just going to sit here and affirm, like, I found the love of my life. I'm so abundant. And none of it fucking happened, right? Because I didn't truly believe it. I wasn't doing any actions that would be a person that would receive love that way because I wasn't that. I wasn't showing that. My ex-girlfriend had blue hair. She was a narc that destroyed me. I guess that's why you're healing channel. Yeah, I'm the opposite of her. So if you have wounds to heal, I'm here for you. It's like I'm very difficult with words today. Bridget helped me earlier with with insulin resistance, doppelganger, or I don't know, whatever it is. I have a lot. I've been in therapy for 5 months. Oh, awesome. Yeah. And therapy is only a piece of the pie, of healing. You have your body then that you have to work on. And that's not just working out. It's literally removing the trauma that's stored in our bodies through like somatic therapy, which you can also find some. I actually use the Workout Witch. She's here on TikTok, a program for 30 days of hip release. Oh, damn it. I did rip the book finally, you guys. The book ripped. Anywho, okay. The universal power never judges or criticizes us. If you guys are just joining, we are going over You Can Heal Your Life. I highly recommend grabbing a notebook and a pen so that we can go through some of these exercises and heal our lives. This is chapter 1, by the way. Okay, so the universal power never judges or criticizes us. It only accepts us at our own value. Let me repeat that. The universal power never judges or criticizes us. It only accepts us at our own value. So how you feel about yourself is what the universe will agree upon. So if you believe you're a piece of shit, you are going to continuously receive relationships and situations like at work and friendships that will continuously show you that pattern of, yes, you're a piece of shit. Or, as I mentioned, money. If you constantly think and believe that you deserve the bare minimum just to get by, you will constantly be able to pay your bills somehow. Like random shit will happen and you'll be able to make bills, but you'll never be able to make over that because there is a limiting belief and you've put yourself in this subconscious box to stop you from receiving, which also is tied in with that mother wound, which is receiving. Remember, divine feminine. And mother wounds are, both men and women experience mother wounds. Both men and women experience father wounds, okay? Well, I learned my lesson from the love bombing. Oh my gosh, yes, love bombing. Actually, a great example of love bombing would be the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. How she love bombed him the whole beginning of their relationship, taking care of him. I know red flags. I know to never fight for breadcrumbs anymore. I love that. My therapist actually brought up breadcrumbs, and it was so simple of a thought. And then I realized, yeah, like I don't deserve breadcrumbs. I deserve the whole fucking meal. And so do you. I have mother and father wounds. We all do. Don't worry. That's why you're here. We're learning and we're healing. So I appreciate you. And before I start, everybody that's here, I do have my 7-day challenge, Mom You Mental Healing, which is repairing the mother wound. This challenge is 7 days. Early bird pricing is currently going on until the 17th, which then I will raise it to $111. But right now it's $67 for 7 days. And that's one therapy session if you look at it that way. But we will be giving, we'll be going through discovering the inner mother, anger, so releasing anger, learning forgiveness, and I have 3 hypnotherapy scripts to support it, as well as a ton of other goodies. So if you're interested, that is your opportunity to also be guided and supported through healing the mother wound. Okay, so let me go back to that. Yep, the universal power never judges or criticizes us. It only accepts us at our own value. Then it reflects our beliefs into our lives. If I want to believe that life is lonely and that nobody loves me, then that is what I will find in my world. That is exactly what I believed. I believed that I was unlovable, that I had to fight or compete for love because I was the middle child. I was still the middle child. I am the middle child. I felt lonely, but biggest one was unlovable. So what I attracted was relationships that showed me just that. Like in hindsight, looking back at my toxic relationship with my ex, he was perfect. He checked all of those boxes. He made me feel lonely. He made me feel unlovable. He made me feel that I had to compete for his love because he was constantly with other women. And he had children and other people that depended on him. But again, people can't make you feel a certain way unless there's a part of you that believes it already. So I believed it. I ordered it from the universe without knowing, and at the age of 22 or 23, I attracted him, and it was a perfect relationship. Now through healing and removing a ton of those blocks, which there's still a ton that I do come across still, I'm able to create new boundaries, set new boundaries, and also repair and process through things that are causing me any problems. All right. However, if I'm willing to release that belief, so reminder, that belief that they were referring to is living a life that is lonely and that nobody loves me, that will show up in your world. But if you are willing to release that belief and to affirm for myself that love is everywhere. Now, write that down. If you have your notebook out, love is everywhere. That is a fabulous affirmation. But while you're writing it down, I really want you to feel in your body, how does that feel? Do you feel blocked? Is there like for me, when I write something or say something and I don't truly believe it yet, there is like a black wall and I can't like get past that black wall. I can just feel it. Like I'm like nestled up against it, but I can't get past it in my mind, in my body, in my ethereal body. So what does that feel like? Love is everywhere. You might be thinking, oh yeah, love is everywhere. Peace, love. But truly, like dig deep and feel like, what does that feel like? Love isn't everywhere. When we go out, like, do you feel love everywhere? Or do you feel scared? Do you have social anxiety that you have to deal with? Which is something that I go through. And so I know saying love is everywhere, this might be a good affirmation for when I go out in public to say, so that I can help kind of create that reality and feel that love when I'm out and start changing my belief. And I am loving and lovable. That's a hard one too. So when I was doing mirror work, which we'll get to in the next coming chapters within this book, is looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you, which is really difficult. And I have to do it right now because I'm staring at my face in this phone saying, I love you. And it gets easier and easier as I do it. Some days it's not. Like some days I do mirror work and I like am disgusted with myself. And then I have to figure out where that's coming from. Okay. So, however, if I'm willing to release that belief and to affirm for myself that love is everywhere and I'm loving and lovable, and to hold on to that new affirmation and to repeat it often, then it will become true for me. Now, loving people will come into my life. The people already in my life will become more loving to me. And I will find myself easily expressing love to others. Now, this reminds me of a specific episode on the Mindset Mentor that he just recently had. And it was titled, How Do You Change People Around You? And with that, he said, you can't change anyone. So it's a little clickbaity, right? But you can't change anyone. But through you changing yourself, your beliefs, and what you're doing, other people around you will change. And that looks like, one, they may realize that they're not going to receive all of the things that they were receiving before from you, like having a toxic relationship, and they're putting you down and they're being able to use you in a specific way. But now as you're doing your healing work, you stand up for yourself. You set healthy boundaries. They're going to be like, ew, why is this not working the way that I want it to work? And they're going to cut you out, which may feel difficult, but at the same time, you are going to be on a different level vibrationally to be able to attract other relationships that are going to be healthier, that are going to help support you. Or those people around you, if they truly, truly are tapped in and are open to also doing work, it's going to be just like you working out. They're going to be like, hey, you seem really happy lately. What are you doing? Similar to like you working out, your body's changing. They're like, whoa, you lost a little bit, or your body's changing. What are you doing? Can I go to the gym with you? Can I get some recipes from you? So that's the thing, is you're either going to lose people that are toxic, or you're going to see those people around you change as well, which is so awesome because you didn't sit there and tell them, you need to read this book, you need to change your life, where they're going to be resistant and tension because two batteries that have negative ends and you keep pushing, they're going to propel each other away, right? And that's how I always did it. I was like, you need to change. I found this amazing technique. You need to heal yourself. And then everybody was like, get away from me. But I started doing the work, and now I have people coming out of the woodwork going, hey, I saw that you were talking about the mother wound. I have these issues too. Can you help me? Yeah, totally. I'm so excited. Let's do this. Okay. Most of us have foolish ideas about who we are. And many rigid rules. Oh my gosh, if that doesn't say me, that screams me. My expectations are through the roof. We have many rigid rules about how life ought to be lived. And this is, I almost poked myself in the face. This is connected to generational trauma. So let me read that again. Most of us have foolish ideas about who we are, and many rigid rules about how life ought to be lived. So that's a great kind of question. So if you have your notebook, your pen and your paper, write down, what are the things that I expect from myself? What is the idea of who I am? Like, who do I believe I am? Write that down. Who do I believe I am? Claudia, thank you so much for the likes. Yes, and you need a partner that wants to work with you, which you will attract that partner when you start doing the work. Now, that's not saying like, oh, I can't, like if you're in a relationship, you have to move out of the relationship in order to work on yourself. That's not what I'm saying here at all. You can do work for yourself and then things happen. For example, I was starting to do the work for myself. I was reading a specific book, which is over on my bookshelf over here, from Gabby Bernstein, May Cause Miracles. And on day 4, my toxic relationship, he broke up with me. I know that that was a sign from the universe because I wasn't strong enough to do it yet. But the universe was like, you're doing all this work, get the fuck out of this relationship. Claudia, thank you so much for the likes. I'm going to grab a drink real quick. Yeah, I'm going to grab a drink and then I'll finish my thought. Okay. Okay. This is not to condemn us for each of us doing the very best we can at this very moment. We knew better if we had more understanding and awareness, then we would do it differently, right? So that's the other thing. We can't be upset at ourselves for not knowing. For example, a lot of my clients ask, well, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? It's like the same toxic relationship, just different meat suit. And that's totally correct because it feels comfortable. If you were raised in an abusive family, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be, there's 3 A's. It's abuse, addiction, and abandonment. Yes, I believe that's it. That's what many of us experience. And through that, we then bring that into our adult life and attract or accept relationships that are going to show us those same A's, right? Either abuse, abandonment, or addiction. Because it's just something that's comfortable. But as we start repairing and healing through these old traumas, we can start attracting new things because you're getting new tools. So you can't be mad at yourself. I can't be mad at myself for being in a toxic relationship because I didn't know better. I was working with what I already knew. I believed I was unlovable. So I attracted that relationship, and sure enough, he showed me that I was unlovable because that's what I believed. As I started working on myself and connecting deeper and creating that deep inner safety with myself, I realized that I was lovable and it had to start with me. And it is very hard. I'm not sitting here saying that I create tools and I help guide and I help support people through it a little bit faster because it took me 15 plus years. And now I'm able to help people through like my coaching program, as well as right now I'm doing that 7-day challenge. That's just the stepping stone. This is still a lifelong changing, healing journey, but it starts to get to this point where it's like fun. I enjoy waking up and doing my morning routines where before I was like, I don't want to wake up. I would wake up late, rush, trying to get to work. And then that just like created my whole day, right? Now I'm able to get up early and do things that I actually enjoy, journaling, hip openers, meditation, hypnotherapy, all these things that light me up and fill up my cup so that I can fill up others within the rest of my day, either through clients or my own family, right? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Please don't put yourself down for being where you are. I have so many clients that say, oh man, I just wish I was where you're at. And it's like, I totally understand where you're coming from, but it's your journey. You have to do the work and still feel the feelings. It's okay to feel feelings. That's the other thing I have to remind my clients. Like, it's okay to feel like shit. Because they're like, I don't know, I'm doing all these things. I'm doing EFT, I'm doing your hypnotherapy, I'm doing your Uncover Your Unmet Needs exercise, but I keep feeling like I'm angry and resentful. Okay, well, there's something there that needs to be seen. So let's take a step back and take a rest day and allow those feelings to process through. And that's okay. I think those days are hard too for me to do, but I've been doing it and it's been so crazy because the more that I've been resting, the more I've been receiving. Because again, that's that feminine energy. The feminine energy is going to allow you to receive all of this abundance, which is amazing. And you get lit up and you start getting all these quote unquote downloads from the universe. And this is where we find our purpose, which, by the way, if you are trying to figure out what your purpose is on this earth, it is to get closer to you. It is to connect with yourself. It is to know yourself truly and authentically and love yourself unconditionally, unapologetically, right? Okay, the very fact that you have found this book, which we're reading a book, and have discovered me, Louise L, means that you are ready to make a new positive change in your life. Acknowledge yourself for this. Men don't cry. Women can't handle money. What limiting ideas to live with? What? Acknowledge yourself for this. Men don't cry. Women can't handle money. What limiting ideas do you live with? Okay, that's a great journaling question. So, with your paper, write down, or in your notebook, your notes app, or on your computer, what limiting beliefs do you live with? So does that look like boys don't cry, boys got to be strong, girls can't play sports, money doesn't grow on trees, things like that? Write those down because we're going to be using them as we go through this book. So, when we are very little, we learn how to feel about ourselves and about life by the reactions of the adults around us. So we're like absorbing and seeing what they're doing. It is the way we learn what to think about ourselves and about our world. Now, if you lived with people who were very unhappy, frightened, guilty, or angry, then you learned a lot of negative things about yourself and about your world. I never do anything right. It's my fault. If I get angry, I'm a bad person. Do any of those resonate with you? I'll say them again. I never do anything right. Which, can you pinpoint a time that you've just recently said that to yourself? I never do anything right. There's a phrase that I constantly say to myself when I accidentally drop something or do something that is not normal. Like I didn't read in an instruction correctly, so now I screwed up like dinner or whatever it was. And I constantly say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. These are things that have been programmed in my mind to play on autopilot. It's my fault. How many times do we feel like it's our fault in all situations? But big one, this one's big for me. If I get angry, I'm a bad person. Angry is an emotion. Anger shows us that there is something wrong and that something needs to be addressed. What we do though is we go, we can't be angry, so we suppress that feeling so that we are looked at as a nice person. But you're really not hearing what and not fulfilling your needs. Your needs are going unmet because you are suppressing your emotion. Beliefs like this create a frustrating life, right? When we grow up, we have a tendency to recreate the emotional environment of our early home life. This is not a good or bad, right or wrong. It is just what we know inside as home. So deep down, home. We also tend to recreate our own personal relationships, the relationships we had with our mothers or with our fathers. This is now going into mother and father wound, or what they had between them, right? So not only how they reacted to you. So if you started crying and they were like, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, or you have a big emotion, you get angry or whatever it may be at your sibling, and you get sent to your room. And now you are isolated and have to work through your own feelings by yourself. Which, how does that connect with what you do now? Are there times when you have really big emotions and the first thing that you think of is, I got to get out of here. I got to go I got to go isolate myself. That's because it was taught to you, right? You were taught to isolate yourself at a young age. Oh, Hellcat, it is You Can Heal Your Life. I know it's backwards, sorry. You Can Heal Your Life. However, my book fell apart. You Can Heal Your Life, Chapter 1. Thank you, Bridget. Dad would yell at me when I cried because my pet died. And oh my gosh, that's so intense. And Hellcat, if we think about it, that's because that's probably how he was taught to handle his emotions. Boys don't cry. So when dads are confronted with an emotion from either child, boy or girl, they get nervous. They're like, what do I do? Like, I gotta stop it. Like, stop crying. Don't cry. Like, you gotta be strong. You gotta get through this. Life happens. Life is hard. Life doesn't have to be hard. Like, I have this belief right there. Life is hard because I noticed it from society. I don't even remember. I don't think my parents ever said life is hard. But I noticed it through their own financial stuff that they were going through and like what I heard on entertainment, movies and books and whatever else. So I'm like, man, life is so hard. Romance, so hard. And so I've been blocking myself. I'm like, I gotta do all this work. What is it? Work hard and it pays off. Like, no, you don't have to work hard, especially now with the internet. But it's still a belief that I bump up against and that I'm trying to break myself because I'm like, gotta do all this shit. And then I'm like, wait, I don't have to. And then I start resting or taking rest days. The other day I did hip openers and I felt really nauseous after because I was releasing trauma. I felt so sick. I was like, blah. You know what I did? I watched Gilmore Girls and drank wine. I was like, I never got to do this as a kid, my younger 20s is just like curl up on the couch with a good best friend and watch like a TV show like Gilmore Girls. I wish I had that. And so I recreated it. Oh, definitely. Okay. Katerina, well, my champion of my mom always told me all fun and parties stopped when I was born. Interesting. Yeah. And I think I'm getting this from what you're saying is like all of her fun and her partying stopped when you were born. Correct me if I'm reading that incorrectly. But this comes from her own mother wound. So she felt like she had to disconnect from her dreams, her wants in order to fulfill her motherly role. And that's something that is a generational and a society, like our culture shows that. Like I have felt that way. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm running a business. I'm taking care of my son. I have to take care of the house. And like, I put all of these expectations on myself, but I have to start working with uncovering my own unmet needs and how can I fulfill them? So what do I need in order to feel like I'm safe and heard and seen and loved, which if you haven't gotten already, my Uncover Your Unmet Needs, it's free. It's an exercise within my Stan store here on my account. Highly recommend grabbing it because it's seriously going to be the foundation. It's the exact strategy I use with my clients to help uncover what needs are going unmet. Yes. I'm sorry. Is it Jessica? Is it Jessica? But just spelled different? Hello, welcome. Wrote, is mother wound related to mommy or daddy issues? It sounds similar. Okay, so this is such a great question. Mother wound. So first off, there is a daddy wound, or we'll call daddy. We'll call it father wound and mother wound. With the father wound, you have more of like unable to say no, unable to set healthy boundaries, which also is connected to mother wound. It just has like a different dynamic. There's you feel like you have to do more and you can't receive help. So if you're somebody that's very independent and is like, I can do it, I got it, or whatever, that can be linked to the father wound. And the mother wound, I always think of more of like receiving, surrendering, receiving, nurturing. We're not nurturing ourselves. Every client that I've talked to, every single person I've talked to in Instagram direct messages, as well as myself included, has an issue with receiving love. So when I get compliments, let me ask you, here's a question that you can write in your journal. When you receive a compliment from someone, what is your initial reaction? And if you'd like to share within the chat, go ahead. And thank you so much for the follow, Jessica. Now, everybody experiences the father wound and the mother wound. What I like to focus on is the mother wound because that's something that I'm very, very connected to with myself and that I've worked through and I'm still working through. So I'm able to support my clients and create content around that to help support it. However, I believe through working through the mother wound, it has helped me also repair and connect with my father wound. One of the other things that I'm trying to work through with my mother wound is repairing my relationship with my own mother. Obviously, they're not getting any younger, and I want to make sure that I don't have any regret or resentment when that time comes. What was the question that I just had you guys write down? I can't remember. If anybody remembers what I just was talking about, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Discomfort, feeling like they are lying or having an alternative motive to the oh, yes. Okay, that was it. Thank you, Hellcat. I just remembered what I was saying. The compliment. So you feel discomfort. You feel like, okay, they're lying, or what do they want? They're like, especially with a romantic relationship, and they're like, you look gorgeous today. You're like, you just want sex. Like, right? That's initially what we're thinking. You're like, you're just saying that. And then what do we immediately say? Even if it's a stranger. I get complimented on my hair all the time, right? And I started noticing that I would say things like, oh, I didn't do it today, or it's 6 weeks out, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I was discrediting their compliment, but I couldn't receive the compliment. So I started to say, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I just stopped at that, like stopped my brain, didn't get anything else out. I said, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Because that's all that matters. You have to receive it. I understand that discomfort and that ickiness pops up, but that is due to our conditioning and our beliefs. And now we need to release those. When I receive compliments, I feel overwhelmed, like I don't know how to respond, and it's a lie. Yeah. And we don't believe it ourselves, so that's where that we think it's a lie piece comes in. And then we are pushing away receiving that nurturing and loving guidance or like support. How do you feel when you receive a compliment? I'm assuming you're asking me, so I'm gonna share again. So previously, yes, discomfort. I autopilot subconsciously would make like put myself down, like, oh, my hair is dirty, or I didn't wash it, or it's not done. If somebody said something about my outfit, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I just feel fat. Oh, that's the other thing. Like my partner will say, you look great today. And then I'll say, oh, I just feel so fat. Like, how many times do we say that? What is that doing? Words carry energy. And that energy is going to hold you in that same subconscious box of, yeah, you're going to hold on to that weight. And if you want to lose weight, you have to shift your beliefs. And those beliefs then will allow you, and as you're working through that mental barrier, you can form, new aligned actions and freedom with food, because that's the biggest thing is we comfort eat. And that comfort, so if you notice, I do this and did it a lot, especially when I was in high school. If you get bored, stressed, or anything else, I immediately want to go to comfort foods. French fries, hamburgers, pizza, meatloaf, things that my mom used to make that were hearty. I'm from Wisconsin, so it's like meat, potatoes, and a little bit of veggies. Those were comfort foods because I needed comforting. So we're seeking externally through food a way to fulfill a need. So that's where that exercise, if you grab it, it's free in my Stand store. Uncover Your Unmet Needs exercise. It is free. That will help you start working through what those needs are and how to understand what is the root of your underlining triggers. Like, what triggers you? How do you feel about that trigger? What's the unmet need? Do you want to feel heard, feel seen, feel loved, or feel safe? Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. They expect something out of being nice to me. Yeah, I legit saw videos on how I should respond to compliments. Sorry, that was answering when you asked what the question was that you forgot. Yes. Oh, thank you, Hellcat. But it's nice to hear your experiences too. Yeah, absolutely. And then it just shows, like, me personally, I would hide that I had problems because my initial thought was, if I have issues, why would anybody want me to help them? However, through my own mess was created my mission, because through my own experiences, I am now able to help support others. I have a better understanding on toxic relationships, mother wound healing, because I got it. And those are things now that I can support my own clients and create, like I have been sharing, my 7-day challenge for monumental healing, repairing the mother wound. We're going to be going over some amazing stuff that's going to help open up that kind of like, or create that step to begin healing that specific wound. All right, back to chapter 1 of this book. We are going through You Can Heal Your Life, chapter 1. And I highly recommend having a notebook and pen and paper, or whatever you want to use. When we grow up, we have a tendency to recreate the emotional environment of our early home life. So I'm repeating what I had just mentioned, but again, what we experienced within our home life growing up is what we are going to recreate now in our adult life. So if you experience abuse, physically, mentally, or emotionally, you are going to seek those experiences out in your adult life because it is familiar. Another example real quick, not only toxic romantic relationships I've been in, I've also been in toxic work environments. This is where people used me. They would go behind my back. I would seek their external validation, and I felt like shit if I didn't receive that validation and somebody else did. I'd be like, well, what's wrong with me? And this was a constant thing that was in my brain going, what's wrong with me? Okay, so this is not good or bad, right or wrong. It is just what we know inside as home. So again, it's that familiar feeling. We also tend to recreate in our personal relationships the relationships we had with our mothers, and or our fathers, or what they had between them. So not only how they reacted towards us, but how they reacted towards one another. So this connects with some of my videos that refer to getting triggered and then how we react. Do we shut down? Do we cry? Do we get angry? Do we get defensive? This is also learned from our parents. So if you saw your father yell at your mother and she shut down, you were modeled, oh, if you get yelled at, shut down. If somebody has that tone of voice, shut down. So your significant other may have that specific tone and you go, oh, autopilot, shut down. Think how often you have had a lover or a boss who was just like your mother or father. We also treat ourselves the way our parents treated us. We scold and punish ourselves in the same way. You can almost hear the words when you listen. We also love and encourage ourselves in the same way. If we were loved and encouraged as children. You never do anything right. It's all your fault. How often have you said this to yourself? You are wonderful. I love you. How often do you say this to yourself? And if you don't, I invite you to start doing so because it's going to help condition new beliefs, right? Let's release all the it's your fault and start saying, I love you. And you are wonderful. And if you don't believe it, I totally understand. Still do it and start creating ones that you do believe. So maybe it's not, I am skinny and beautiful. It might be, I am on the path of becoming healthy. So just a tweak of the words. However, I would not blame our parents for this. So again, we can't demonize our parents. I know this is part of my 7-day challenge. We're going to work through anger because so many people are so angry at their parents. But guess what? That doesn't do anything to the parent. It doesn't do anything. They don't care. They don't even know. They're oblivious. They have no idea that they're supposed to heal their own wounds. They don't even know about wounds, right? However, we have to release that anger that we have towards our parents and learn to forgive them. That doesn't mean that you have to have them in your life. It's for your own healing. We are all victims of victims. I'll say that again. We are all victims of victims. And they could not possibly have taught us anything they did not know. So back to what we have to forgive ourselves because we were only doing what we could with the tools that we were provided. But now we're learning new tools. Your parents and their parents and their parents were only given a certain amount of tools and could only do what they could with the tools that they were given. I gotta go. Thank you. Maybe if you are in later, I can get back on. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for being here and the support. Somebody just came in that says has the name Chicken Nugget Sparkle, and that is bomb. I love that. I don't know if they're still here, but that's a cool name. If your mother did not know how to love herself, or your father did not know how to love himself, then it would be impossible for them to teach you how to love yourself. How accurate is that? Let me say that again. If your mother did not know how to love herself, if your father did not know how to love himself, then it would be impossible for them to teach you to love yourself. Boom. Okay. Wait. Oh, my pages are all over the place. They were doing the best they could with what they had been taught as children. If you want to understand your parents more, get them to talk about their own childhood. And if you listen with compassion, you will learn where their fears and rigid patterns came from. Those people who did all that stuff to you were just as frightened and scared as you are. That's super fucking powerful. I recommend writing that down. I invite you to, if you still have your parents around and if you're still talking to them, ask them about their childhood and how they were raised and how their parents treated them. I believe that we choose our parents. Each one of us decides to incarnate upon this planet at a particular point in time and space. This is connected to the work of Dolores Cannon or Michael Newton, who speaks of our life between lives as souls, the journey of the soul. We have chosen to come here to learn a particular lesson that will advance us upon our spiritual evolutionary pathway. We choose our sex, our color, our country, and then we look around for the particular set of parents who will mirror the pattern we are bringing in to work on in this lifetime. So we choose what we're doing in this life. The thing is, my parents did tell me all the horrors in their childhood, but I sort of realized it doesn't excuse how they treated me. Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't give them the excuse of how they treated you. So again, what they did is not excusable. However, we need to learn how to forgive for ourselves and forgive ourselves. Because all the things that happened during that childhood, you believed it was because it was you, that you brought those things on. That's what I'm referring to, that we need to forgive and repair, if that makes sense. Let me know if that made sense. Okay. Then when we grow up, we usually point our fingers accusingly at our parents and whimper, "You did it to me." But really, we chose them because they were perfect for what we wanted to work on overcoming. And that's kind of connected to this. We choose our parents because we come in this life with something that we want to work on. We're like, oh, I want to work on being able to speak up for myself. And then now that's what we are going to learn how to do as we repair this mother and father wound. Learning how to use our voice. So how many people learn to suppress our voice? Because for me, I went to church at a very young age, and I went twice a week because I went to a Catholic school. Guess who learned not to speak her truth because you would be demonized? Ding, ding, ding. Me right here. Guess who has a hard time speaking up? Because I want to please others and I want to make sure that I'm seen as a nice person. And then those are the things that I need to work on. So I take those little nuggets and I start working through them and try little things, aligned actions. Okay, I go to a coffee shop and order something and maybe I change it up. And if I hear that, something is ordered the wrong way, can I speak up for myself and say that's not what I ordered, or this didn't come the way that I wanted it to? How they are the reason how I am at the moment. Yes. And you know what? It totally makes sense. I have resentment still too, that I have to do all of this work to undo things that was brought on me from my parents. But at the same time, that is a blessing and an opportunity that I want to take on for my own healing as well as for my family, because I want to make sure that I'm able to support and guide my son and have a healthier, strong relationship with my husband. And also, I want friends. For so long, I felt like I was just alone and that people were against me and that my friends were doing things purposefully to not invite me to things. But these were all limiting beliefs, which were brought on from my own family. So those are things that I want to work through so that I have a better life. But I know how resentment can come in because we're like, damn, like, why did you do all this shit to me? Now I gotta fucking fix it, right? But at the same time, it's like, you can either look at it as a negative or you can use it as an opportunity to move forward and start repairing your own stuff. Which again, it is difficult. Believe me, I'm doing it and have done it. And I mean, my own journey has been 15 plus years, probably more towards 20, if I'm being honest. But it is so worth it because new things come to you. Like if you were to talk to my 21-year-old self and be like, this is where we're at, I'd be like, no, I do not believe you whatsoever. The point of power is always in the present moment. All the events you have experienced in your lifetime up to this moment have been created by your thoughts and beliefs you have held in the past. I'm going to say that again. All the events you have experienced in your lifetime up to this moment have been created by your thoughts and beliefs you have held in the past. They were created by the thoughts and words you used yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 10, 20, 30, 40, or more years ago, depending on how old you are. However, that is your past. It is over and done with. What is important in this moment is what you are choosing to think and believe and say right now. For these thoughts and words will create your future. So, Jessica, that's where you are now able to change your future by letting go of the past. Your point of power is in the present moment and is forming the experience of tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and so on. So if we hold on to these beliefs that our parents are such terrible people, those things will continue to stay with us into tomorrow, into next week, into next month. And believe me, it's a work in progress because I still do this. My mother just messaged me the other day about something about my son and something she saw on the news. And this is where I have to actively start using these things that I'm learning so that I don't ruin my own energy. And I did allow it to affect me, which resulted in me being late for my hair appointment. Like, I was so shaken by what she was saying that I left my house late. I put in the wrong address and I was not paying attention. I was not in the present moment. I was literally trying to answer her text messages while I was driving. That is a moment that I quote unquote messed up, but now I'm able to step back and go, okay, that's on her. That's her fear, not my own. And the only reason why it bothers me is because there's a part of me that believes whatever she's saying. But how do I heal? I realized when I was away from my family, I was mentally better, but now I'm back with them. I want to leave. Oh, totally understand where you're coming from. Did you grab my Uncover Your Unmet Needs exercise? It's free in my Stand store. I highly recommend grabbing that to start. That is my foundational exercise that I use with my clients. Do you think I will better off moving out? Do you feel like you would be better off moving out? If it is financially doable and you are able to, and that feels right to you, my number one thing I always remind my clients is listen to your gut. Your gut is your second brain. Your stomach, your intuition is housed in your gut. Your brain has a nerve that runs from the stem of your brain all the way down into your stomach. It's called the vagus nerve. This is showing the connection from the brain and the gut. So if you're like, yes, I need to move out, then that is your answer, but you stick with it and you do it for you, not anyone else. Also, I definitely invite you to the 7-day challenge that I have coming October 22nd, 10/22/22. That is going to be all around repairing the mother wound. People will talk. They care a lot about reputation. That's all a limiting belief. That is all their beliefs, and probably very similar to how my parents were, where in church and in school or like the community, you have an image to show. But guess what? That was from my grandparents. My grandparents were very showy, very materialistic. And they were like, this is what we have. We have so much money, which is great. Like, that's awesome for them. But it instilled a lot of stuff into my mom, which then trickled down to myself, my sister, and probably my brother. It just shows up a little bit different sometimes for guys. And he lives somewhere else, and I'm not really sure how that might show up. My sister and I are very close, so we talk about it quite often. We're very similar. I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. Yeah, and that, honestly, still the same thing is that people will talk. Will they really, though? A lot of the times, people are focused on their own stuff. However, we believe that that stuff is going on. But those are the people that we don't want to be around anyway. Like, I don't want to be around people that gossip. People that gossip only gossip because they feel terrible about themselves. And that's okay. Like, they have their own journeys to take care of, but I'm on a different level. I want to live a different life. I'll tell you, for those that are in the business realm or like the coaching space where I'm at, so I do coaching, and so many of them invest in themselves and get coaches themselves. I have my own coach because they're doing things that I would never have known about, right? So similar to what anybody else would be experiencing, that they want to do something, find people that are already doing it. I can guarantee if you have ideas, somebody might already be doing it. Now, how can you get in their space and learn from them? The internet is huge. The internet allows you to learn things free and all day. Like, I literally consume podcasts. I read a shit ton of books. I'm literally learning. I was told that I was not good in school. So I believe that. I got bad grades. I hated school. I regretted going to school all the time. The only reason why I would go is because I wanted to see friends. And I constantly could not retain information because my limiting belief was that I couldn't retain information. However, I'm now literally putting myself in schools, in classes, in things to learn and gain knowledge and be able to use it with my clients and better my business and support people because I changed that limiting belief. So those are all just limiting beliefs. People will talk, judgment, gossip. Those are all things that are internal. And as I mentioned before, no one can make you believe anything unless part of you believes it already. And who cares if relatives ask questions? They're already the reason why they're asking questions and maybe throwing a fit, which look at it, it probably looks like a child temper tantrum, which that's what it is, because many of us are emotionally stunted at a specific age. But they're asking questions and they're judgy because they do that to themselves and that's all that they know, and they're receiving something from you. So that's a typical toxic relationship that they want you to stay where you're at so they continue receiving whatever validation they're receiving from your current dynamic, if that makes sense. Okay. For these thoughts and words will create your future. Your point of power is in the present moment and is forming the experience of tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and so on. You might notice that you are thinking at this moment, is it negative or positive? So right now, at this moment, were you just thinking a negative thought about yourself or a positive thought about yourself or just in general? Was it negative or positive? And do this all throughout the day. Set an alarm on your watch and have it be called a miracle moment. And anytime you feel anxious, think, what was I just thinking? Because anxiety is brought on by a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Do you want this thought to be creating your future? Just notice and be aware. The only thing we are ever dealing with is a thought, and a thought can be changed. I literally should have wrote this book. You can choose again. No matter what the problem is, our experiences are just outer effects of our inner thoughts. Let me say that again. No matter what the problem is, our experiences are just outer effects of our inner thoughts. Even self-hatred is only hating a thought you have about yourself. You have a thought that says, I'm a bad person. This thought produces a feeling, and you buy into the feeling. However, if you don't have the thought, you won't have the feeling, and thoughts can be changed. Change the thought, and the feeling must go. This is only to show us where we get beliefs. But let's not use this information as an excuse to stay stuck in our pain. I see so many people that validate what I'm saying, but stay stuck. I have so many free tools, so much free information here, even on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever. I have a podcast too. I have all this free information. There are so many other creators that have free information. I have free tools. I have low ticket tools. So $5.55 for hypnotherapy. That is literally rewiring your brain to release blocks that are holding you back. It's $5. But people constantly say, I'm broke. I can't do it. I can't help myself. I can't pay for therapy. Like, there's so many other ways. It's just your ego stopping you. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. See you soon. I would love to participate in the challenge. I would love that. The link is in my bio. And I appreciate you for sharing and being here. Okay. Let's see. The past has no power over us. It doesn't matter how long we have had a negative pattern. The point of power is in the present moment. What a wonderful thing to realize. We can begin to be free in this moment. Believe it or not, we do choose our thoughts. We may habitually think the same thought over and over so that it does not seem we are choosing the thought. But we did make the original choice. We can refuse to think certain thoughts. Look how often you have refused to think a positive thought about yourself. Well, you can also refuse to think a negative thought about yourself. It seems to me that everyone on this planet whom I know or have worked with is suffering from self-hatred and guilt. To one degree or another, the more self-hatred and guilt we have, the less our lives work. The less self-hatred and guilt that we have, the better our lives work on all levels. The innermost belief for everyone I have worked with is always, I'm not good enough. How many times have you said, I'm not good enough? Or a variation of that. We often add to that, and I don't do enough, or I don't deserve this. Does this sound like you? Often saying or implying or feeling that you are not good enough. But for who? According to whose standards? So these are probably coming from your parents' beliefs, but then your expectations of yourself. If this belief is very strong in you, then how can you possibly have created a loving, joyous, prosperous, healthy life? Somehow your main subconscious belief would always be contradicting it. Somehow you would never quite get it together, for something would always be going wrong somewhere. And how many times have you been doing such great stuff and all of a sudden self-sabotage or something comes up and now it's not working, right? It's all because we're blocking it. I find that resentment, criticism, guilt, and fear cause more problems than anything else. These 4 things cause the major problems in our bodies and in our lives. These feelings come from blaming others and not taking responsibility for our own experiences. You see, if we are all responsible for everything in our lives, then there is no one to blame. Whatever is happening out there is only a mirror of our own inner thinking. And I'm not condoning other people's poor behavior, but it is our beliefs that attract people who will treat us that way. Thank you, Stephanie, for the follow. So this goes back to what we believe is what we receive. So if you believe that you're unlovable, you are going to attract relationships that are going to literally show you that you're unlovable, like I did. So that is something that we are going to want to release. If you find yourself saying, everyone always does such and such to me, everyone's out to get me, criticizes me, is never there for me, uses me like a doormat. Like, I was definitely a doormat. I would do everything for everyone and then resent them because I'm like, why am I not receiving back? And that's because I was allowing it. I didn't have boundaries that I was setting that were healthy for me and being able to show people how to treat me. Everyone always abuses me. Then this is your pattern. There is some thought in you that attracts people who exhibit this behavior. I'm going to say that again. There is some thought in you that attracts people who exhibit this behavior. When you no longer think that way, they will go elsewhere. That's where, they just disappear and do that to somebody else. So that's kind of where like attracts like. If you believe you are not good enough, you will attract a relationship that shows you are not good enough. You will never be good enough for that person. However, if you start raising your vibration and start changing your belief to something else, you're going to attract other relationships, but you're going to lose that relationship. That relationship's going to go away. And that was one of the scariest things that I had to go through with my own toxic relationship. And the universe had to have him break up with me because I wasn't going to do it, because I kept going, well, if I change, he'll change, and then then he'll love me. Because that was that belief where I'm unlovable. If I can get him to love me, I will be lovable. You will no longer attract them. Following are some results of patterns that manifest on the physical level. Resentment that is long held can eat away at the body and become the disease we call cancer. Criticism as a permanent habit, so if you constantly criticize yourself, can often lead to arthritis in the body. Oh my gosh, that's literally my mom, now that I'm thinking about it. Guilt always looks for punishment, and punishment creates pain. When a client comes to me with a lot of pain, I know they are holding a lot of guilt. That's me. Which is why I'm going through opening up the hips and everything. And now I'm starting to feel it up in the shoulders. So it's all coming up. Fear and the tension it produces can create things like baldness. Oh, interesting. Ulcers and even sore feet. Fear of moving forward is what I put here as a note. I have found that forgiving and releasing resentment will dissolve even cancer. While this may sound simplistic, I have seen and experienced it working. She actually, I believe, had ovarian cancer and healed it. I can't specifically remember if that was what she was going through. We can change our attitude toward the past. The past is over and done. We cannot change that now. Yet we can change our thoughts about the past. How foolish for us to punish ourselves in the present moment because someone hurt us in the long ago past. That's actually a great thought. How foolish for us to punish ourselves for somebody hurting us in the past. I often say to people who have deep resentment patterns, please begin to dissolve the resentment now when it is relatively easy. Don't wait until you are under the threat of a surgeon's knife or on your deathbed, when you may have to deal with panic too. When we are in the state of panic, it is very difficult to focus our minds on the healing work. We have to take time out to dissolve the fears first. If we choose to believe we are helpless victims and that it's all hopeless, then the universe will support us in that belief. So again, this is going back to what we believe is what we receive. So if you believe everything's hopeless, that is what you'll receive. It is vital that we release these foolish, outmoded, negative ideas and beliefs that do not support us and nourish us. Even our concept of God needs to be one that is for us, not against us. The other thing I was thinking of while I was reading that is I utilize next level self journal prompts. So writing who I want to be moving forward, because if we don't, we stay the same. We can't change if we don't have something that we want to move towards. To release the past, we must be willing to forgive. We need to choose to release the past and forgive everyone, ourselves included. We may not know how to forgive, and we may not want to forgive. But the very fact that we say we are willing to forgive begins the healing process. So I invite you to say right now, I am willing to forgive. I am willing to forgive. And that starts the healing process. It is imperative for our own healing that we release the past and forgive everyone. Here is an affirmation. I forgive you for not being the way I wanted you to be. I forgive you and I set you free. I'll say it again because that's a good one. I forgive you for not being the way I wanted you to be. I forgive you and set you free. And this affirmation sets us free. All disease comes from a state of unforgiveness. Let me say that again. All disease comes from a state of unforgiveness. Whenever we are ill, we need to search our hearts to see who it is we need to forgive. The Course in Miracles says that all disease comes from a state of unforgiveness, and that whenever we are ill, we need to look around to see who it is that we need to forgive. This might be also ourselves. I would add to that concept that the very person you find it hardest to forgive is the one you need to let go of the most. Forgiveness means giving up, letting go. It has nothing to do with condoning behavior. So that's very important. I am not condoning behavior at all, but being able to give up and let go. It's just letting the whole thing go. We do not have to know how to forgive. All we need to do is be willing to forgive. The universe will take care of the hows. We understand our own pain so well, how hard it is for most of us to understand that whoever they are, we need most to forgive, were also in pain. We need to understand that they were doing the best they could with the understanding, awareness, and knowledge that they had at the time, or still have, right? When people come to me with a problem, I don't care what it is, poor health, lack of money, unfulfilling relationships, or stifled creativity. There is only one thing I ever work on, and that is loving the self, which I mentioned already. That is literally your purpose in life, is to love yourself. I find that when we really love and accept and approve of ourselves exactly as we are, then everything in life works. It's as if little miracles are everywhere. Our health improves. We attract more money. Our relationships become much more fulfilling, and we begin to express ourselves in creatively fulfilling ways. All this seems to happen without even trying. Loving and approving of yourself, creating a space of safety, trusting and deserving and accepting will create organization in your mind. Create more loving relationships in your life. Attract a new job and a new, better place to live, and even enable your body weight to normalize, which is all powerful. And all of that is just from loving yourself. Because all the things that are happening to you in your life are because you're blocked with these limiting beliefs. This is why I created that hypnotherapy for removing blocks and barriers. And this is why I created the 7-day challenge, Monumental Healing, to repair that mother wound and learn to forgive and work through anger and understand our unmet needs so that we can move through what happened to us in the past in order to create our future. People who love themselves and their bodies neither abuse themselves nor others. I know that there's that saying, hurt people, but let's switch it to the more positive, and that those that love themselves create safety, deep inner safety for themselves. and respect themselves and set healthy boundaries and are still seen as a nice person. Setting a healthy boundary is showing that this is how you treat me. And that is being a nice person, to show the other person that they might need things that they need to work on. And that's great. However they take it is on them. Self-approval and self-acceptance in the now are the main keys to positive changes in every area of our lives. Loving the self, to me, begins with never, ever criticizing ourselves for anything. Criticism locks us into the very pattern we are trying to change. So when we criticize ourselves, when we judge ourselves, when we judge others, we get stuck in that stagnant energy. And that is what's going to continue moving forward. And again, you're ordering from the universe. If you want to look at it as a restaurant, a takeout restaurant or whatever, whatever you are criticizing or judging someone or yourself for is what you're ordering from the universe. Understanding and being gentle with ourselves helps us to move out of it. Remember, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. That was chapter 1. We're on part 2. I'm going to go ahead and read this affirmation. Also, my phone is very close to dying. So after I read this affirmation, I am going to be closing off this live. I highly recommend, if you are ready and willing to change and repair, sign up for my 7-day challenge. Early bird pricing goes until the 17th, which is Monday. And any other of the amazing tools that I have in there. There are free ones, there are low ticket ones. I would love for you to join the challenge. It's going to be super empowering and repairing of the mother wound. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I believe in a power far greater than I am that flows through me every moment of every day. I open myself to the wisdom within, knowing that there is only one intelligence in this universe. Out of this one intelligence comes all the answers, all the solutions, all the healings, all the new creations. I trust this power and intelligence, knowing that whatever I need to know is revealed to me, and that whatever I need comes to me in the right time, space, and sequence. All is well in my world. I'm actually going to be uploading these onto my YouTube channel. I will be going live with each chapter for You Can Heal Your Life. So if you want to join, I'm going to be adding events to my profile, to my TikTok account here. So make sure you're following so that you can get back in on the next ones that we're doing. But if you miss any, I'm going to be sharing this onto my YouTube channel. So make sure that you jump over there and subscribe there as well so that you can catch up. If you do have any questions, you can always feel free to direct message me on Instagram, as well as I still invite you to come join me within the 7-day challenge, and you will actually be receiving early bird pricing until Monday, October 17th, as well as a bunch of bonuses for those who sign up. So you actually get some extra goodies that others will not receive after the 17th. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to make sure that this is uploaded onto YouTube, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.